welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of November 21st, 2011. Welcome to the site to the new members, and welcome back to the old members. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I promise I read all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. No such thing as a dumb question. It's a great way to get the most for your subscription, so please send a question if you haven't already. This question this week is very interesting because the person decided to send their Maya scene file, and I think that's fantastic. I really like that. So I'm going to encourage everybody, if you are having trouble with a Maya scene and you just can't figure it out, or even if you just want like a little boost, maybe I'll open up your scene file and just like work on it for a couple minutes and talk about what I'm doing, and hope that will benefit a lot of people. So if you are having a issue, please don't be afraid to send your Maya file. I think it's a great idea, so why not? So same email address to send it to, just webmaster@kennyroy.com, and I'll check out your scene. Quick announcement, I have given out tons of promo codes at CTN this year, and so there should be some new members coming in the next few days. Please welcome them, and welcome to the new members again, and just check that out. CTN was a lot of fun. I could only go for one day because I have a baby, and I had a big delivery this week that I had to work through the weekend. But I did have a lot of fun meeting the people who I did see, and it's always great to see everybody. CTN is a fantastic event that you should all check out. It looks like I'm going to be doing a workshop in Montreal in January. If you're in the Montreal area, I'm sure the school that's putting it together would not mind if people who are not students got involved. It's going to be an all-day thing, probably 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, combination lecture and demonstration. I'm going to be figuring out what that's going to be in the next couple weeks, and I'll post more information on that. But it's going to be in Montreal in January, either the weekend of the 18th or the 26th. I think that's a weekend. I'm not sure. It's somewhere around there. I don't know. Okay. I think that's it for announcements. There's a couple things that are kind of far off, but if you want to put it on your calendar, the Animalia, which is a conference that happens, it's actually kind of like a all-year sort of educational, continuous kind of program. It takes place in Czech Republic in Prague, and there have been, I think, 3 years so far of master classes, workshops taught by like Pixar animators, people from the industry. So I volunteered to do a very interesting one for next year. So it's going to be August or September next year. But if this sounds interesting to you, then start thinking about it. Start planning or saving for a plane ticket. What it's going to be is I'm going to bring an animatic for a short film, and everyone who's there, I'm going to be doing instruction in the morning, and then we're going to break and come back and work on our shots. So everyone's going to have 1 or 2, maybe a couple shots to animate on the short film. And it's going to be very small. It's going to be open to like maybe 15 people. So we're going to have basically a little animation department, but it's going to be combination education and training and also demonstration, and then we're all going to work on something together. And then at the end of the intensive masterclass, it's either going to be 10 days or 2 weeks, but at the end of it, we're going to screen the film, and we're going to screen it for the local media. We're going to put it in a theater, and we're all going to watch it, and it's going to be a hugely fun thing. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out. If you go to Animalia, Anomalia, Animalia, it's something weird. It might be like dot. I don't know what it is. Just search for Animalia, you'll find it. That's coming up. Okay. So let's get to the question and to the Maya file. Interesting. Here we go. Okay, interesting question. How do we tell what leads and what follows? Well, basically, in general, in animation, you need to have a good handle on your forces. What are the forces in your shot? With this shot, it's actually very interesting because I've been given this shot, and it doesn't really have all of that clear a force. And so maybe that's what this animator was asking, or maybe that's a problem with the shot. But let me show you what this shot is first of all. Now it didn't come in correctly into my Maya, so I actually had to kind of like fix a few things, but this is the general gist of what's going on. For some reason, Goon's arms became disconnected. Anyway, so this is a great, by the way, this is an awesome ing shot. When I say that like on your reel, you want a ton of shots that are like 48, 72 frames, 96 max, like 2, 3, 4 seconds max, that are just start to finish, just one physical action, one gag, one antic, and then out. It's a great chance, A, to get some good animation practice, B, to put your work through its paces, start to finish, and not just block something and put it away, and block something and put it away. And C, it's a great way to get a lot of variety on your reel, okay? And it motivates you a lot to have something that started and then finished, and started and then finished. It's just a really great thing to do. So at any rate, perfect example of an ing shot. I would call this hopping up onto a block, just hopping up or whatever, but an ing shot nonetheless. Okay. So what I would say is this: when you're deciding what you want to be basically your leading force, what that means is that your silhouette basically and the pose is set up so a strong line of action can be seen. Okay, so already right here we have a nice curve. Let me turn on annotate. Although, you know what, I'm not that impressed with annotate. I bought annotate, and I just don't like how you have to clear everything if you want everything, if you don't want to select it. But at any rate, so we get this clearly, bent over shape. We've got this line of action going through him right here, and this kind of just like makes us like crave that reversal, right? Where we're going to have a big explosion, we're going to get that reversal in the spine. That this what I would call a spring is basically, basically is trapped, the trap is sprung, right? Okay. So, we start with that, right? And we get this, and then we are fulfilled a little bit. So the first thing I would say is that if you're going to decide what is, quote unquote, leading this shot, I would say it's the spine. It's the way the spine is loading up in this anticipation pose. And then by the time, then by the time he's up here, we're just begging for that reversal in the spine. Okay, so that's like the leading force in this shot. Another way to think about force, though, and another way to think about which action leads the other, is to think basically is to respect the materials and to think about what you're actually making drive the motion right here. So that's a good thing to use in combination. So let's look at that. Since we're not quite getting that reversal that we're really craving, let me put it in and see what happens. So it looks like we got a pose on pretty much, or a key on pretty much all these controls. And let's just scoot them forward just a little bit. Yeah, already, even with just that little bit of arc I put in his back, let me put a little bit more in just the upper body. Goon is not a very easy to select rig. If you turn off, see if I turn off my geometry on my selection mask, his wrist controls, his wrist IK controls are actually geometry. They're not NURBS curves. That's a big no-no. I really don't like that. But anyway, so even with just that little bit of extra reversal in the spine, I already feel that this is just slightly stronger. At least what we get is a little bit stronger of like a pop against the back there, okay? But the next thing we need to really think about is how we're ranging this, because what action is actually leading this action right now? It does a very odd trade-off between the legs and the arms on this frame, and the arms even start stretching. So are the arms taking the weight, or is the literal stretching of the arms what is lifting his butt off of the block right here? Do you see my problem with this? My problem is that if his hands are truly stuck there, then it was this jump that made it so that the arms stretch. He jumps into his stretched arms, I guess is the best way to put it, okay? So if that's the case, then we need to do a lot more work. Not a lot more. This is a really great shot, and it's actually in pretty good shape. So not a lot more work. It's actually looking nice, so sorry about that. But we need to do a little bit more work to make it seem like he's either hopping up onto it, or he's hopping up and then landing into his arms. And his arms are then taking the weight and letting him down, all right? So basically figuring out a way to range this motion so that the arms are involved. I would go for the latter. So let's just try the latter. All right. We're going to mix it a little bit, but we're also going to try the latter. This looks like a kind of a little bit of a linear curve in Y. He's still on the ground right here, but then he kind of goes up kind of slowly. So I'm going to actually have him pop up a little bit higher. Let's have everything just a little bit higher. Okay. Then I'm going to see what kind of range we can get out of the shoulders. Okay. So let's bring the shoulders all the way down, just to start, and then see. All right, we're going to do a little bit of playing with the stretch as well. All right, now let's delete the next couple frames because I'm sure they're not what we want them to be. Let's actually bring them down a little bit. Oops. Yeah, Goon's a nice rig. He's got some great face action going on. He's a very fast rig. That's really good. But some things that I really expect to be done in a rig is when you rotate it, the same channel, that it actually has the opposite effect across the rig. So call me picky. All right. So let's do this. So let's get him up here, and instead of coming down in, let's say, 3 frames, let's actually have him come down. Let's actually delay this just a little bit. In fact, I'm just going to grab it all. And I don't really know what's going on here, but I'm assuming that since the keys are pretty dense, that if I slide it by 2 frames, we're actually not going to get too big a deal. Okay, so yeah, it caused a little bit of a pop, but we can fix that. All right, so let's fix that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to range the arms. And I don't know what I need to... Okay, it looks like these front controls. Ooh, sensitive. Okay. You can go to Edit, Settings, and then you go Slow, and that makes it so that when you're sliding it, it's a little bit slower. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. So 0.03, all right, let's do 0.02. I'm just checking it. What I was just doing is seeing like how much room we actually do need to get out of these elbows so that they don't stretch. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that it really looks like the shoulders are taking the weight here. So I'm going to drop these down. And then as he comes down, I'm really gonna have him like almost pop up. Make sure these are nice and down. And then we can do just a little bit of follow through and delete this one. And just bring them down just a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's see, up and then into his shoulders a little bit more. All right. Probably going to, let's make him lean just a little bit more forward on this fall right here, just a little bit. His arms are almost not long enough to do this. That's okay. Does he have squash and stretch? No, it's just a FK chest. All right. So let's just put a little bit more overlap in this. And it comes up pretty quickly, so let's just slow this down. All right. Okay. Now let's delete all the rest of the keys on the stretch. Okay, so here we go. I know that was a long work session, but it'll pay off. So here we go. This is just with, it looks like about 12 minutes of editing, and we've started taking a step down the path of making sure that we know at each moment what muscles are actually driving each action, and those are the shapes that we need to pay the most attention to. That's how we decide what's going to lead the action and what's going to follow. So when he jumps, the whole body is basically following the momentum of the legs jumping off the ground. And that line of action, we started with a nice curl like this, and we were just begging for a reversal, so I put it in right there. All right. Then we just decided, okay, once he's up here, we need to make it look like gravity is driving this force. So it's really going to, we're going to bias all of our attention to these shoulders and arms to make it look like he's, in this part, sinking into his arms that are kind of catching him and letting him down softly on the brick or the box, whatever. So here we go. So just a little bit more force when he jumps up, okay? And then a little bit more, shall we say, a little bit more energy in his arms when he lands. So let me see if I can open up the QuickTime here and just play the two of them. Oops, gotta loop it. Guadalupe. Okay, so it's subtle, but if you look in this one, it looks like he gets up to this point, and then those stretched arms kind of are almost like hydraulics that are lifting him up even further. He's not pushing off his arms, he's landing on his arms. You see the difference? Now there's a lot to start looking at. You know, I do see a little bit of knee chatter, definitely some elbow chatter. We need to work out those elbow pull vectors because we're doing a lot of ranging, and when you do that, you get chatter in the arms. But on mine, I do feel like we are getting a little bit more of a sense that he's letting himself down softly with his arms. So it's a small change, but it's the first decision and the first little tweaking that you would need to start making on your path to deciding truly what is leading this action and what is following in this action. Okay. So great question, and thank you for sending a Maya file. It was a lot of fun. I won't give this Maya file out. I will leave it up to the animator to give it out, like on the forums, if he feels like it. But I did not receive word if he wanted it shared. So you can just ask for it in the forums, and I'm sure if he wants to share it, he'll send it out. But in the future, if you do send in a Maya file, know that I do want to share it with everybody so we can all grow and learn together. So if you want your question answered, you got to send it to me. Don't forget, the address to send it to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. And you can now start sending Maya files. So thank you for watching. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.